This is the story of how and why I ended up hiring a team of holistic life coaches for 30 days. The truth is, my lifestyle is very extreme, one way or the other. I'm either training for a marathon, and I'm very regimented about what I'm doing, or I have no systems in place, and every weekend I drink one too many beers, which turns me into a midnight food zombie. In the middle of the night, the refrigerator calls to me. I stumble across the house like I'm rehearsing to be an extra in The Walking Dead. Then I eat whatever food we have. Literally whatever. It doesn't matter. I grab it and I eat it.
Is that mayo?
At the beginning of this year, I wanted to change. I wanted to have balance, something in the middle of the way that I was currently living my life. I thought about paying for a program, getting a personal trainer, or just re-signing up for another gym membership and taking classes. Instead of doing any of those things, I mostly just sat around the house scrolling through social media. I was looking at my buddy Josh's page. Josh is someone that I met one time at a hotel a few years ago, and because of social media and Instagram, we've stayed in touch. He and his partners have just started a holistic health coaching company, so I slid into their DMs and asked them to help me. Since the company is based out of Idaho, and I'm here in Indiana, we would be doing our coaching remotely. They told me that they would be sending me a health history form before we started. Then I Googled, what is a holistic health coach? A holistic health coach is a trained professional who uses an integrative approach to both diet and lifestyle change to improve their clients' health. Working as a guide toward an overall healthier life, they will look at their clients' nutrition patterns, relationships, physical fitness, spirituality, and more. The Saturday before we started, I filled out my health history form.
Do you have sugar, coffee, cigarettes, or have any major addictions? Jesus! Now I have to define what a major addiction is. Depends on who you ask about that question.
On the Holistic 8 website, it does say that they do not train anyone for less than 6 months or a minimum of 12 hours. Since we're doing this accelerated program for 30 days, I'm going to meet with each one of the coaches for an hour, 3 times a week for 4 full weeks. And on Monday, I start off my week by meeting with Taylor. Taylor is going to be my integrative nutrition health coach. She will help me focus on lifestyle changes that encourages long-lasting health and happiness that includes a mindset shift and healthy habit forming. Through her own trial and error with her personal health journey, she'll help empower me through my own self-discovery to holistic wellness. During my first session with her, we talked for a little over an hour about my health history form, my exercise habits, and my overall relationship with exercise, mental health, and food.
Yeah. What's your relationship with your weight? And how much activity do you have now?
You know, there's like the vanity side of it too. Like I've got a shirt that like I won't wear if I feel like I've put on some like extra like the dad gut. I'm like, I'm not wearing that shirt. Like I'm not doing that to people around me.
Wow, that is so crazy. So at first when you would see your dad, this kind of bumps me down to the section where you filled that out, where he ate McDonald's like 5 times a week or 4 to 5 times a week. And so you saw that and that was normal, right?
Yeah.
Very, very normal. And then, so for you, realizing you could barely make it around the block, was that like a big turning point for you?
Right now it's day 1 and I cannot see how there's any way after 30 days I'm going to feel anything but gratitude for this experience, and I think it's gonna be awesome. Like honestly, after that first talk, I felt really great. Every Wednesday for the next 30 days, I will be working with Josh. He started doing parkour at the age of 16, where he also learned he was good at coaching. He has dedicated his life to learning from the best in his field to learn and pass on that knowledge. In the short month we spent together, he will be working to help me create a solid foundation in Anusara Yoga to help me on and off the yoga mat in the future.
Now we're here. Today, I really wanted you to just focus on the foundations of yoga. So your feet position, the 4 corners of your hands, the 4 corners of your feet.
Yeah.
How wide should your legs be?
Yeah.
Pairing your breath with movement is very important to the foundation. So that moving forward, you'll have a strong foundation, right? I'm sure you've heard the analogy of like, you can't build a house on a crappy foundation, right?
There was a noticeable difference, a huge difference between doing a practice with a video that was pre-made versus doing yoga with a teacher who is on a Zoom call with you. A lot of these are obvious, and I didn't really think about them ahead of time. But just having someone there for accountability first is huge. I hold poses longer than I probably would have if I were doing it on my own. And also to have someone watch what I'm doing and have me pivot one way or the other. There's a point where we were doing some micro movement in my hip, and instead of going, turning my hip in, I was turning it outwards. I wouldn't have noticed that if I were on my own. I just would have thought, oh, that's a great stretch for the back of your hip, when it was actually supposed to be opposite and stretching your inner thigh. I'm going to end every week with a Friday meeting with Jake. Jake's holistic coaching specialties include breath work and strengthening the mind. He is a kettlebell specialist certified through Kettlebell Kings Educational Branch and was previously certified through the Onnit Academy. If you have ever listened to Joe Rogan, you are probably familiar with this brand because he literally talks about it all the time. Jake and I are going to work on my mindset, breath work, and on what he calls a no bullshit meditation practice.
5, one last one, and then all the way empty. All the way out and hold.
Yeah, that would be an amazing thing to add to the end. So I think if you begin your practice with that mindfulness within, like filling with light or letting the light hit your body, expanding the light within, or sometimes I'll think of like a bellows and a forge. So with my breath, I'm trying to keep this fire going and trying to feed it just enough. I'm not trying to drown the fire out, but I'm trying to like build this fire bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like balls deep in Avatar, so that helps, when like Uncle Iroh was like, hey, true fire bending is in the breath. And just like as a kid, that just smashed right into me. And I was like, cool, true fire bending is in the breath. I'm going to take that with me until I die. And you could create fire within.
When you need to take a breath, not when you want to take a breath, you're going to inhale fully and then hold for 15 seconds while kind of squeezing everything. There you go. And let her go.
At the end of week 1, I felt like I had a little more confidence in myself for the first time in a while. To be honest, after I ran a marathon, it was a week before Thanksgiving, which is notoriously a hard time of year for people to develop a wellness routine. I just ran a marathon, and I was like, you know what? Chicken wings, Doritos, IPAs, whenever you want. You ran 26.2 miles. You deserve it, John. Not for 2 months. And honestly, when I look back at these videos, because I filmed them at the beginning of the year, I can see how much chubbier I was then to now, and I'm by no means obese or morbidly obese, but it's a little hard. So it was kind of nice to get back into a wellness and healthcare routine. During week 2, I met with the coaches on the same schedule. On Monday, Taylor and I talked about supplements and where my previously unhealthy habits came from.
Yeah, I think that was mainly just what I wanted to ask you about, is if you would be interested in a probiotic or like a brain supplement.
Yeah.
Those two are, because that is something that I do go to school for, is learning how to use food. But sometimes food you just can't get, like omega-3s,
Yeah, for sure.
And so probiotics are also hard to come by too, and just like normal food.
And we figured out that even though I'm not taking them now, that during that period of time for a few months where I was eating probiotics on a daily basis and changing the way that I was eating and radically improving my diet, that my gut lining probably healed itself. Because for years I just thought, oh, this is gross, I'm sorry, TMI, but for years I thought, diarrhea is just a thing. My dad talked about having diarrhea all the time, and that's the life that I'm meant to lead. And that's not true, at least for me. I was having a lot of gut issues because I was merely mirroring the diet that I saw my parents consuming a majority of the time when I was growing up. Super great talk. It's given me a newfound energy for the rest of the day, and I'm excited for my yoga session with Josh on Wednesday. Josh and I went over fundamentals again and added a couple new poses. And I just finished my Wednesday second session with the yoga portion of this 30-day holistic coach experience with Josh. And oh man, drinking a lot of water. Last week, I am ashamed to admit it, but from doing very simple yoga last week, I was very sore the next day. I asked Jake about forgiveness, more specifically on how to forgive yourself, and he offered me his perspective on the art of forgiveness. Oftentimes, we do not forgive ourselves, and this is for sure true with me. I struggle to forgive myself, but I know that if I were talking to someone else that was saying the same things I've been saying to myself, I would be like, dude, I love you, I forgive you. So what is the hesitation and the resistance to doing that with ourselves? That's my takeaway after the talk with Jake, and I'm super, super grateful to have the talk and the ability to reflect on that with someone else instead of just doing it alone. I think that's key. We're social beings, we're social creatures. At the halfway mark, I was really excited about the rest of my experience with the Holistic Ape crew, but apparently life had different plans, like it does. On Monday, I went about my usual routine, and Taylor and I sat down and we talked about nutrition and how there really isn't a one-size-fits-all approach to it.
I don't want to just nail in a bunch of nutrition stuff because it is so bio-individual of like what you eat and what works for you. Because I could, like last week, I suggested some supplements, but it's not like a prescription. Hey, John, did you get your supplements that we talked about last week? Because it has to be your decision if that's right for you and what works for you. And so if I get lots of questions about nutrition, I'll answer them the best I can. But ultimately, it's your decision on what you believe is healthy and what works for you. Instead of me saying, oh yeah, eat more kale. That will definitely help all your problems.
Josh and I, we did another yoga session. Then on Thursday night of week 3, that's when things got really weird.
Sorry.
That's all good.
I'm being put to the test, the real life test. You want to see what I started remodeling my office.
Oh, nice.
Surprise, randomly at 3 a.m.
Oh, that's not good. That's how does one do that?
Well, last night I was showing Alexis some client work and finishing up a project, and she's like, "Please tell me that you dropped coffee," and I just went. I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about," and she was like, "Look up," and there was like a little like water leak. So I poked it, and I was like, "No, that's not good." Oof. And she was like, "How bad?" And I said, "I don't know. I'm not a roofer, but we should call someone." And then our pillow talk last night was, "Do you think the ceiling's in a collapse?" We're like, "No, probably not." And she's like, "If you think it's in a collapse, you should go move all of your equipment and everything that you own for your business out of there." And I was like, "It'll be fine." And then at 3 a.m. I woke up with my son yelling, "The roof is falling!"
Oh no.
Yeah.
After the ceiling collapse, my family and I went to stay with my in-laws. I would come home during the day to get work done, even though my house was only 49 degrees. I wasn't able to get in my last session with Josh because we had contractors, roofers, inspectors, and insurance agents in and out of my house all day, every day. For my last 2 sessions with Jake and Taylor, I built a fire in the den and sat next to it while I zoomed with them.
So,
it's gone great. You know, I cannot deny the presence you guys have had in my life, and this is gonna be huge for anyone that does it. Like, just even if you're on a wellness schedule and you feel like it's like dialed in, I think having like coaches and people to talk to is like only gonna make it better, right?
Oh boy. I could have quit our coaching. It crossed my mind several times, but I didn't. And honestly, I think that attests to the value that they were bringing me and that they could bring to you. I also cannot say what it would have been like to experience this craziness in my life without coaches, because I had coaches and then my ceiling collapsed. I can't do it any other way. But I can say that during this craziness, I felt compelled to come back and talk to them and to see this through. But I know that there were times when I wanted to like give up. I wanted to give in to the angry emotions that I was experiencing, and I didn't. And a lot of that is work I've done well before the Holistic 8 people were in my life. But there's also a part of it, and a big part, because it was so relevant and fresh in my mind. I kept hearing Jake's words in my head saying things like, embrace your mountain energy, embrace your masculine energy, be a mountain, be strong, be a warrior. And it's better to be a warrior in the garden than a gardener at war. And I used to think things like these were silly, but the way you talk to yourself and the way that people around you talk to you is important. And in my opinion, from what I observe with a lot of people in my life, like family, people I used to be friends with, this trait goes vastly unnoticed. It gets a lot less attention than it should. It really matters how you talk to yourself. And before I leave this video, I want to say thank you if you're here. You're awesome. I love you people. I want to say the YouTubey things. You know, like if you hit the thumbs up button and like this video, that helps me get this video out to other people. So that way I can continue making videos for you for free. That way maybe someone will work with me in the future, like the Holistic 8 crew. And also, comment, please, if you want to. I don't care. I do care. And I reply to every comment. And I like to hear your thoughts. If you have any thoughts about this video, or if you have any suggestions for other places to go to check out things on wellness, let us know. Let us know. Don't hold out. And, you know, until next time. It's been fun. It's been real. Bye.
Like a bellows and a forge. So with my breath, I'm trying to keep this fire going. I'm trying to feed it just enough. I'm not trying to drown the fire out, but I'm trying to like build this fire bigger and bigger and bigger. True fire bending is in the breath. I'm going to take that with me until I die. And you could create fire within.